Hello, guys, and welcome to another edition of the Pink Sock Podcast.
Hi, guys.
I'm your host, Mike Usenick. This is our producer and host today, Noami. How you doing, Noami?
Okay, how are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. I'm actually very interested in learning about our next guest, Kenny Dubman. He kind of took a break from music, and I'm kind of interested in seeing what life he took after music and what made him come back to music. So without any further ado, we have Kenny Dubman. Let me ask you before we start, though. Our show is free form. We're not really scripted. We do have notes. Is there a time limit for you?
No, there is not.
Okay, because I didn't want to get into full-blown conversations and stuff if you have a time limit.
Yeah, actually, well, I mean, there is, but it's pretty far off. I have a call at 3:30, so we got an hour and 20. I think that should be
well, that should be enough. Most of our episodes go about an hour and a half anyway, so whenever you need to go, just let us know.
Right on.
So you started guitar lessons. You started your journey at the age of 9, which is a relatively young age. Did you pick it up rather quickly at 9, or did it take you some time?
No, actually, I didn't. It took me until I was about 12 years old for like the rock stuff to really kick in, and until then, I was taking lessons with this old school cat from New York. He was like a straight jazz wedding kind of guy. So there was no rock involved whatsoever. So at one point I just was like, I got bored. I wanted to quit, because I wasn't getting to play what I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And my mom is the one that like really talked me into sticking with it. Like she'd make me sit in the kitchen with her and play my guitar lessons while she made dinner. And, if I had my way, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation right now.
So you mean to tell me that your grandma was more metal than your wedding singer guitar lesson teacher?
Well, it's my mom, not my grandma.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said grandma.
And yeah, definitely much more metal. I mean, if not at least rock, because it was her Hendrix and Santana albums cranking around my house that originally drew my ears to the guitar. That's why I wanted to start playing when I was 9.
Well, Hendrix was arguably like the first ever like metal type guitarist. Anyway, that was before metal was a thing.
Yeah.
He was so influential on the way that he did solos and stuff that he might as well be considered a metal guitarist.
Sure. I'll buy that.
So I was looking at your biography, though. You had the band Prophet for a little while. It was a covers band that did the club circuit, but you guys quit doing stuff not long after your 91 album Recycled, right?
Well, Prophet started out as a cover band, and once we put our debut album out in 85, then we became an original band, and that's all we did from that point on.
Okay. The bio must have been misread or something, but what made you leave music?
Well, let me see. After Prophet's last album was 91, and then I went on to do some of my, I started writing and recording on my own, which was kind of like a precursor of what I do now. And, was in a couple other little projects. And just after a while, I was like, you know what? I was just done beating my head against the wall, trying to make it in the music business, chasing the dream. And I started getting really passionate about being at sea, chasing fish. And once I became more passionate about that than making music, I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of done. I've had it. And I went on to eventually get my my captain's license. I started a charter fishing business in 97 and did that full time for like 11 years.
Oh, wow. I saw that you were a fisher. I didn't know if that's what you were doing after you left music or not, but that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I didn't completely leave music. I still, I did like little cover gigs and played some weddings and stuff like that, but I didn't write and record and, try to pursue that end of music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My head was out of the creative side, and I was full blown lunatic about being at sea. I mean, we were a really busy boat. I mean, I think our busiest season during May and June in 2006, we did over 100 trips. So
you was really good at handling baits then. So you were a master baiter, right?
You know what? That's the first time I ever heard that, Mike.
Probably not. It's probably not. That's an old joke. So
It's
I
good,
saw
though.
when you sent me the email, I noticed it says account executive. What is REMN Wholesale?
We're a mortgage wholesale company, so I'm not writing mortgages for people, but my customers are brokers that do that.
I was going to say that's a very hard field to get into if you're a broker and all that shit. So I was wondering if.
Yeah, and it's we just entered a super down cycle right now too. So it's almost like not having a job.
Yeah, because COVID kind of made a big hit on that, didn't it?
No, COVID actually, we were busier than I've ever been during COVID.
Oh wow,
we were
that's good.
insanely busy during COVID.
Because I've heard some housing markets took a big hit.
Well, the problem with the housing market right now is there's no inventory.
Oh, okay.
There's no inventory and rates went up, so there's no refinances. So as a result, the whole mortgage industry is deader than dead right now. But you know why that's cool? Because I'm putting a new record out, and I'm really not giving a shit about it.
I saw that. I'm like, this dude was into mortgage messed up. So he's like, I might as well go to what I'm passionate about too. I go back to music, and we'll talk about that right now, actually.
Yeah.
In 2013, you discovered the album, The Whip Porwell by Blackberry Smoke. Are you a fan of that band in its entirety or just that album?
That discovering that album made me a fan of the band. And I discovered that record when I was coming out of, I went through some really like pretty dark personal shit in my personal life, divorce and like all kinds of nasty shit that followed. And I was really like, I was building myself back up as a human being at that point when I discovered that record. And I had no idea this band even existed. And I stumbled upon that on YouTube. And I listened to it and I was like, this is like some real down home rock and roll. And I listened to it again and I listened to it again. And it just had this amazing effect on me. Like I said, if there's a band out there that's writing music that's this good and getting, big acceptance, maybe I should think about doing it again myself. So that album was literally the trigger that got me back into writing and recording again.
It seems like the old school rock and roll sound is coming back, and that's a good thing. Like with with Blackberry Smoke, you've got Greta Van Fleet, you've got like all these bands. Like they're not mimicking the style of the old music, but like it's bringing back that sound, which is really good for the music industry in its entirety.
Agree. And what it is, it never really went away. There's always guys that were playing it and writing it, but just it ducks so far out of the mainstream that the average person might think it went away. But these bands have been drawing crowds, consistently throughout their careers.
But the thing is, with the reason why the majority of people don't realize is because the commercial thing, whatever they throw at you on the radio or throw at you commercialize is what most people see. And it's great that kind of rock and roll is making a commercial comeback is what I should have said.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I guess like I live in New Jersey and this isn't like a really like a rock and roll area of the country as opposed to like southern states and Midwestern states. That's where like the real concentration of rock and roll people are now, I believe.
I'm living in Ohio, so I'm near like about 2 hours from the Rock Hall of Fame. So I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Well, I would think that Ohio is much more dialed in to rock and roll than we are here in the Northeast.
What's sad is though, in the area of Ohio that I'm in though, like I'm 2 hours from Cleveland, I'm closer to West Virginia. So like there's a lot of country music fans in the area that I'm in, but they also like rock and roll. So it's kind of like a mixture of both. Yeah.
Rock and roll and country have been kind of like crossing lines lately, to more of a degree than ever now.
Kind of like Garth Brooks is rock and country. Like there's a lot of country artists that are blending the two and rock artists that are blending the two.
Yeah, and let's not forget that all the best guitar players you're going to find playing country.
Yeah, that's true. And some of the best drummers too, like Willie Nelson's drummer. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's a really good drummer. Like
I don't know of him, but I'm sure that Willie has nothing but the best guys playing with him.
He's had the same lineup for almost 40 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Because they're all so high, they don't age.
Hey, there's nothing wrong.
Nothing at all.
Getting a little high.
Nothing at all.
Are you a cannabis guy?
I'll do an edible once in a while and really like I'll just laugh so much that I become just this basket case of laughter. And I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun.
Isn't it wild how acceptable it is now, like in the eyes of law enforcement in most states now?
Well, you know what? Honestly, alcohol has been legal forever, and alcohol is an absolute demon of a substance, that's claimed so many lives and, and livelihoods and everything like that. So, I mean, if someone wants to smoke a little weed, I mean, who cares? I'm
all for weed legalization. Like I'm right now in the process of getting my medical marijuana card. Like I'm a big advocate towards that. I'm not out fighting the front lines like with picket signs yet, but like it should have been legal years ago. It should have never been illegal in the first place. It's a medicine. And if you want to get a little high, who are you hurting?
Nobody.
You're writing good music.
Except for, like, I will tell you that when I first discovered weed when I was in 8th grade, my grades went right down to shitter. And that was it for me for junior high and high school after that.
Well, the weed helped you write the music in your youth, didn't it?
I wasn't really writing then. And now, I mean, my best ideas are going to come to me when I'm totally sober. So, for me, if I'm going to do an edible, it's not going to be like sitting around with a guitar. It's going to be out at a concert or at a party where I can just, enjoy really bounce off the walls and have a great time.
Edibles is a different high, though. Edibles is a much different high.
It is a different high. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually smoked weed.
Well, if I come to New Jersey, we're changing that, bro. we're gonna party it up. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
If not, I'll bring edibles. All
right, that's cool.
I have options for you. So let's get back into the music. This show, by the way, like I said, it's unscripted, so we will discuss all kinds of random shit.
Whatever you want.
And do you know what a pink sock is?
I don't.
Okay. Strap on, because you're about here to learn something. Okay.
It's a strap on? That's interesting.
No, it's not, but it involves one sometimes. What happens is if you perform anal sex without lubricant too much, your anus will prolapse. And that prolapse looks like a pink sock. And
well, who the hell in their right mind is doing that?
Who in their right mind names their podcast after it?
I gotta tell you, dude, now that I know what that means, I like you even more now because that's so fucked up.
That's the reaction I always get because people's like, Pink Sock Podcast, it's so innocent. And they're like, what does it mean? Either you want to know or you don't want to know. If you don't want to know, don't ask.
No, I'm the guy that you can talk about all that fucking crazy shit with. Trust me.
That's why I mostly talk to comedians and rock stars because they've heard and seen worse.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you have a new album coming out.
I do. And there was no pink socking involved in the making of that album whatsoever.
If it was, it wouldn't be called Conflicted. It'd be called Constipated.
I'm looking over my shoulder because my daughter's in the other room, so I got to kind of like, I guess. But I mean, anal sex, for one, I mean, is really for champions only, and number two, unlubricated. How is that even possible?
I'll introduce you to some of the women I know.
I mean, wow. Okay, yeah. Let's go back to talking about music.
If you see one, you can flick it like one of them door stoppers that go boing. Boing. That's what.
Bro,
we're gonna be good friends now, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
So before this album, let's go back a little bit because you released your last album in 2018, American Songbook. Not to be confused with Rod Stewart's American Songbook.
Does he have one named that?
I do believe so. His American Songbook, he did like old love songs and shit.
Oh yeah. Well, my apologies to Rod then. He probably knows something about pink socking.
He probably does. Is that what American Songbook's about?
No.
Oh. So what is there a theme from, like, is this album like your last album or is this completely different? Is it like a sequel to your last album? Is it a standalone?
It's not a sequel. American Songbook. Well, let me tell you the story behind that record. It's a live acoustic album done with me and one other guy. He's backing me up. So it's two guitars and just me singing. And I did it that way because I just couldn't afford to go back in and do a full-blown studio record again, which is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the tunes on it. I put it out, and it kind of came out of the gate and went because nobody really gave a shit about an acoustic record, and I didn't know that then. I figured it would ride on the merits of the songwriting, but come to find out that unless you're like somebody like Pearl Jam, nobody really cares, unless you have like a gazillion fans, and anything you do, they're going to eat up. So it was a lesson learned, and we play those songs live now as full electric, and they sound killer.
What you should do, since you should take from the Pearl Jam book, if you're going to release an acoustic album, mumble through the whole song.
Hey man, you can't argue with the success. I'm not sure that I get it, but
I love Pearl Jam. I just love giving them shit.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I actually consider them one of the two bands that destroyed, hard rock as we know it when their debut albums came out in the early 90s, Pearl Jam and Nirvana. That was the game changer. That was the end of hair metal and metal,
Wasn't it also thrash metal that helped kill hair metal and glam metal and all that?
I don't know. I'm really not that dialed into it. I just mean really in the mainstream that, once those two records came out, I mean, the era of Motley Crue and Rat was dead.
Yeah. And then you had grunge music now.
Yeah. I mean, and out of those Seattle bands that came out, I mean, Alice in Chains to me was the band, because they were like it was like a Black Sabbath with a great singer, great vocal melodies, unbelievably great songwriting. So to me, that was the band. And even now to this day, Jerry Cantrell and his solo shit is so good.
What do you think of Alice in Chains now without Lane?
I saw them a couple times, that lineup, and they were absolutely fantastic. I mean, I
totally agree.
They crushed it. And the first album, what's the singer's name? I can't remember.
Oh, William Duvall.
Well, yeah. That first album with him, when that thing came out, it literally didn't leave my CD player for like 6 months. I was completely and utterly blown away by the songs.
I totally agree.
They were so good and so heavy. I was like, my God. And then I went to see them live, and it was just equally as crushing. And they did all the classic stuff was phenomenal also. People
who say it's not Alice in Chains without Lane are lying to themselves, because this lineup is still feels like Alice in Chains to me.
Totally. And Lane was, I mean, not a replaceable guy, but I think, the creative genius behind that band is Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah. And also a lot of the harmonics he was part of, so it doesn't really feel like a different band.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Because you still have the same, like, half of the harmonics, and Will does his own thing. Like, it feels like a breath of fresh air, but it's still Alice in Chains.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I've seen that lineup like 3 times, and every time was just like.
I've seen it once, and that's because I was too young to see Alice in Chains with Lane.
Yeah.
Because he died in 94?
Don't remember. Early 90s, yeah.
Early 90s, and I was born in the early 90s, so I didn't get to see him.
Damn, dude.
Didn't get to see him. I was born in 92. Didn't get to see him. I'm going to be 30. Sadly, a lot of the bands that I enjoy, like, I see bands when I can now because, like, you don't know.
Right.
But, like, the opportunities that I've had that I've missed, like, I was supposed to see Soundgarden, and Chris Cornell actually died the night before I was supposed to see them.
Oh, good Lord.
And I'm like, fuck. And Soundgarden's another one of those grunge bands that was really good.
Yep. Amazing. Chris Cornell, one of the, when that happened, nobody could really, but I still can't get over that.
He was working on 3 albums from what I heard. He was working on a new Soundgarden album, a new, what other band was he in? Help me out here. There was Soundgarden. There was Audio Slave. And then he was working on a Temple of the Dog EP.
Wow.
And then a solo album, and he died. And I'm like, what the, and then Chester Bennington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
I wrote a one-off and did a video for it, a song called Off the Leash that's a tribute to Chris Cornell. You can see it on my YouTube channel if you want to go check it out.
Of course, I'll go subscribe to you because I haven't had a chance to subscribe and shit. I've been running all over the place. I'm helping a buddy of mine open a cannabis shop. I'm working, got the podcast, but I will check it out.
Yeah, it's like
I will as well.
Yeah, you'll dig it. It's really, it started out to be a song just about depression, and he died in the middle of writing that song, and it just I
Mhm.
was like, holy shit! Then the song just turned into a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm. And being like a person that suffers from mental health myself, when deaths like that happen, like it's bad that the person died, but at least you're getting the like people are aware now.
Yeah, agree.
Like it's awful that you lost on somebody that you enjoyed the music of, but at least we're getting the mental health awareness now.
Yeah, it brings it into the spotlight. I've tangled with that dark side myself too. So
I
know.
suffer from PTSD, so I totally understand.
Wow.
It's not like severe, it's moderate. Like I can't go like to certain places without like forcing myself to go. I can't get out of bed some days, but like it's not like Vietnam flashbacks, fucking PTSD. It's not that severe.
Yeah, listen, I know what it feels like because a lot of the shit that I went through, what ended up happening to me is I ended up with a form of PTSD from being exposed to trauma and negativity for so long. Your brain starts to reprogram itself and put out the wrong common chemical. So I've been there. I get the whole thing.
That's what I'm dealing with because I was bullied very harshly when I was a kid. And like it followed me to my adult life, and like any trigger that like brings it up, because I've had friends that betrayed me and shit, and it just fucked with me so bad that I think everyone's going to be like that.
I get it, man. I get it.
Like,
I felt it. So yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do also with this podcast is I want to like get to know my guests, but I also want to like spread the awareness of you're not alone.
Yeah. No,
like
we're not.
You are not alone. You released a new song or a single, I should say, on January 28th, Old Dog.
Old Dog, yes.
And
that was the first single. Do we still call them singles?
I don't know. I don't know if they're still called
I still call them singles.
When's the EP coming out?
now the thing is you release a few of them before you put your record or your EP out. So it's just like, to string people's, little tiny attention spans that they have now because of social media. You got to give them one little taste and then a little taste, and so they follow the crumb trail. I guess that's the thinking behind it.
What a good friend of ours did, Ryan. He released his album, but it wasn't available anywhere but to purchase. But he would release music videos like once a week or once a month, and like release their songs on Spotify and shit, making the people want to buy the album. And then after like, let's say 6 to 7 months, you finally have the whole album on Spotify.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
I think
I'm going kind of a similar route. I have 2 lyric videos out. Another one's coming out next week. And then in May, we'll do the whole record.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So the album's coming out in May because we have April 29th for the release. But
yeah, that was the original, but now we pushed it back to
okay.
May 17th is now the official full release date.
All right. And what are your socials that we can find you at to get an update on all this if anything changes or you see these music videos?
Instagram is everything. That's the best place to find out anything. Instagram is just Kenny Dubman.
Okay. Kenny Dubman on Instagram, folks. Go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to like all of Kenny's stuff because this dude, I heard your album because I did get it sent to me from Tom.
Uh-huh.
And I love it, dude. It's an amazing album.
I'm so glad, man. Thank you so much.
So I've listened to some songs of yours and they're really good.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I'll be honest, I didn't listen to American Songbook yet, but I was going to listen to your other albums. Like, I didn't really know who you was until Tom sent you to me, and then he sent me the album because I work through Tom George sometimes. He'll help get guests on here, and the album's incredible.
Thank you so much.
Like, I actually plan on reviewing it on one of our side shows, Pink Sock Reacts, once it actually comes out.
Awesome.
So if you want to do a second interview, do a part 2 after the album's out.
Yeah, I would love to. Of course, I'd love to.
So you said you enjoy saltwater fishing, but I also have in the notes that you enjoy shooting at the range, hockey.
Yeah. Yep.
Is hockey the only sport you enjoy, or do you dabble in other sports?
No, really like all sport. I'm just not a big basketball fan. I mean, I love baseball. I'm a New York Mets fan, but hockey is by far my favorite sport. I'm a New York Rangers fan. We just got clinched a playoff berth, so it's a very exciting season.
See, I love hearing people talk about sports, but I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell you're talking about because I'm not much of a sports guy. I've been wanting to learn it, but when I was growing up, football wasn't for me, baseball wasn't for me. I watched professional wrestling. And that's kind of I know I get the laughs like that from all sports fans. I know it's not a sport. It's
Hey,
stage.
look, man, it's pure entertainment, and I'm not smiling to downgrade
I
professional
know.
by any means.
No, the thing is though about wrestling that gets a bad rap is yes, they know who's going to win, but it's still a sport. It's still very hard to do.
Oh yeah, of
Like,
course.
I've been in one of those rings. That's not something I want to do for a living.
No, I don't ever want to do it.
But like the life expectancy for some of those guys is nuts.
Yeah, well, they just get the living shit beat out of them. I mean, body's not meant to take that repeatedly. You know what I mean?
No. And what's crazy is I watched, wrestling companies are getting desperate because I watched WrestleMania recently, and they had Johnny Knoxville of Jackass in a match. They had Stone Cold Steve Austin come out of retirement with knee braces on. Now he did good, but I'm like, what about the new guys? What about the up and coming stars?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I guess they're doing whatever they got to do to boost ratings.
Because all the legends at the pay-per-views won. Like the way wrestling's supposed to work is the legends are supposed to lose to make the guy look good. And I'm like, you're not doing that. Like, I don't know. So who are your influences when it comes to music? Let's get back to music.
All right. Well, I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up on, everything from Rush to Pink Floyd to Black Sabbath, Peter Frampton, Kiss. I mean, the 70s were such a cool era because there were so many different styles.
How about Iron Maiden?
Iron Maiden was never, I love Iron Maiden, but that wasn't part of my formative years. The Iron Maiden of my formative years was Black Sabbath.
Okay.
But yeah, don't forget, I'm a little bit older than you, a lot older. So
I know, but I just got to thinking Maiden wasn't even the 70s. They were the 80s.
Yeah,
80s,
totally.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm formed by 70s rock. Led Zeppelin, Kiss, Kiss Alive 1 was a huge record for me. Then as we moved into the 80s, there were a lot of bands that I really dug. A lot of insane guitar playing came out in the 80s. Of course, you had Van Halen came out in 78. And then you had bands like, Rat and Dokken with insanely good guitar players, all through the 80s. And then Twisted Sister played on the same circuit as Prophet, like back in the early 80s. And they were a fun band to go see, but I would never consider them a musical influence.
I was just wondering if they're a band that you listened to.
No, I didn't listen to them, but I went to see them a lot because it was an absolute blast. To see them before they made it, to see them in like a small club around here, they were so fucking funny. Between Dee Snider and JJ French, they would get on the mic like in between songs. God forbid somebody heckled something out from the audience, they would single that person out and destroy them humorously. But they would just dress them down to you knew that was going to happen if you yelled something out between songs that was even considered slightly heckling, but they were just pure entertainment. They were so good.
Like, why would you heckle them? That's like heckling a comedian.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
It's worse than it because they came out at you way worse than any comedian ever would. They were brutal, those guys, and they were so quick-witted and so sharp-tongued that they would just destroy people. And meanwhile, the whole audience is like, it was so funny.
So with Twisted Sister, though, like back in the day, there was a bit of a dispute about what they were. Twisted Sister told everybody that they are a metal and rock band, but commercialization companies was calling them a glam metal and hair metal band.
I suppose that's splitting hairs. They were a hard rock band.
That's what I thought. They were just a hard rock band that happened to wear makeup and have long hair.
Yeah, and they went for ultra. Like a shocking look, obviously, it was part of their thing, but end of the day, they're just a hard rock band.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, they're nothing like a glam or hair metal band. It's just, they based it on their look.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like saying Kiss is a black metal band. They're my favorite black metal band. You know that, Kenny?
I didn't know that. And what exactly is black metal? Is black metal like Norwegian death metal? Is that a part of that whole thing?
It started in I think Norway with the band Mayhem. They're a very satanic black metal band. They sing and they have like the guitar riffs and
Mhm.
shit. Like they're very aiming towards being evil. Have you seen those bands that have the all white makeup with the black lines on it and shit?
I really haven't. There's nobody that's further away from really the mainstream than me, so I don't know what's going on out there. I have my little stuff that I like to listen to, and
Well, black metal is not necessarily mainstream. It's more so mainstream in like amongst metal crowds. They're famous for that type of music I just said, and they also wear all white makeup, kind of like Kiss, all white makeup with like black lines and shit on it.
hey, more power to them, man.
And
You
I
want to go
mean,
through all that trouble, get that shit all over your clothes. That's fine with me.
that's what I never understood about bands that wear that much makeup. Like you got to put that on every night before
Yeah.
you go on stage.
Yeah, you do.
And that could take hours.
Agree.
So have you ever got to see Blackberry Smoke? The band that got you?
Many times, yes.
Did you tell them that they got you back into music?
I actually have become friendly with Charlie, and we talk. And yeah, he knows that whole story.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's a
That's
good
great.
dude, man. I mean, he knows that the songs that he wrote are directly are the reason that I'm back, like writing and recording my own stuff right now. And he's always been very gracious about it. He's a super cool guy, just a really nice, humble guy.
I know you mentioned Black Sabbath to being one of your influences. What was your thoughts on when Sabbath got rid of Ozzy and brought in other singers? Did you enjoy the Tony Martin era? Did you enjoy the Dio era? Or are you strictly an Ozzy Osbourne guy?
I'm not strictly an Ozzy Osbourne guy. When they brought in Dio and did Heaven and Hell, that album was, how earth-shattering that was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, injecting him with the other guys and the songwriting is insane. Every song on that record is mind-blowing. The production is incredible. So it wasn't so much like, stepping away from tradition by not having Ozzy. It became a new thing.
Yeah, it evolved.
It was just a different band at that point. And I thought it was stunningly good.
Do you think they should have changed their name like they did later in the 2000s, earlier than they did? Or do you think it was all right keeping the Sabbath name?
No, I think it was fine because it was still 3 out of the 4 guys, and you don't change the name of a band because, one member departs.
Yeah, Pink Floyd has how many members that have come in and out of that band, and they're still Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd is a sensitive topic for me because Pink Floyd stopped being Pink Floyd as soon as Roger Waters left.
I agree. They released like 3 albums without him, and it was just David Gilmour's solo project.
That's all it is, and that's what it sounds like. I mean, Roger Waters was hugely influential with song arrangement, songwriting, and as soon as you take him out, you have David Gilmour solo, and it's fine. But to me, that stuff is just very meandering and feels like it wanders with no direction. Whereas even the last album with Roger Waters, which was the Final Cut.
Actually, wasn't The Wall his last official album?
No, it was the Final Cut.
Okay.
Final Cut is very geopolitical, very, very much so. And you could tell like Roger Waters just was becoming like overbearing with what he wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a Pink Floyd album. It still sounds like Floyd. I mean, the guitar solos are, all the arrangements are more concise and to the point, and it sounds like Floyd to me.
Because it's Roger Waters.
Yeah, and to me, that was it for me with Pink Floyd.
What confuses me is Pink Floyd just announced they reunited for a song for Ukraine, but like you have the keyboardist is dead. He's one of the main songwriters of the band anyway. Roger Waters is the other main songwriter, and he's not in the band. It's only Nick Mason and David Gilmour.
Oh, there's no Roger Waters in that project?
Nope. It's Pink Floyd reuniting. The singer of it's some random Ukrainian singer.
Well, yeah, I suppose they can do whatever they want, but I'm not really buying it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, though. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Roger Waters an original in Floyd and David Gilmour came in after Sid left?
That's correct. And Roger Waters was always the primary songwriter.
So how are you going to have Pink Floyd if you're just going to have the replacement guy being Pink Floyd?
You're not.
Like, you're not. Like, that's like Black Sabbath when Ozzy left, getting rid of Tony instead and bringing in Randy Rhoads and just having Ozzy solo band.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. What did you hear about the rumors of Sabbath possibly getting back together?
I have not, but everybody's still alive, so.
I mean, at least have one last show with Bill Ward.
Yeah, Bill Ward's a great drummer, man.
He is, but I read somewhere that the reason why he didn't do the reunion stuff is because he can't tour anymore.
Yeah, I heard his health wasn't great.
Mm-hmm. So I understand totally why he didn't tour or anything, but it'd be nice to see him on the drums. Just one song. Just give us one song.
the last time they played around here at Madison Square Garden, a friend of mine went to see them, and he brought back some video, and it was just stunningly good.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good. I mean, it's like, man, these guys are just, truly professional. Even Ozzy, who's had his bouts with not being able to sing and really sucking wind, he sounded great, man.
I saw him on 2 or 3 legs of his farewell tour that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And incredible singer still, but don't let him talk. Because he went to introduce his band, and that was a hot mess. He was like, I would like to introduce my guitarist. We got Zach on the guitar. We've got Blasco on the bass. We've got my drummer. What the fuck's his name? Anyway, the next song we got is Paranoid. And
that really sounds like him too.
I've been doing impersonations for a while. So.
That's a good one.
So with Sabbath, have you seen them?
Yeah, I saw them. I saw them in 76, 78. I mean, I saw them when they were, still the original lineup, just crushing it.
Dude, I admire you now because I have not met somebody who has seen Sabbath during their hype. I saw people that have seen them like when they reunited, but not in the beginning.
I could tell you about shows that I've seen in the 70s that would blow your mind. I saw Zeppelin twice. Saw Queen when Night of the Opera just came out. Dude. In like 1976. Wow. Yeah, I've seen, and I was very fortunate. My brothers and I, my mom would schlep us to these concerts in the city, buy us the tickets and drag us around. We'd find them going on sale in the newspaper. She'd drive us to Ticketron, get the tickets, and take us to the shows because she's a rock and roller. Dude, so I got to see almost every band, every killer rock band you could mention from the 70s. I got to see live.
I'm trying to think of 70s bands brilliant. Now. You've obviously probably seen the Dead.
I have seen the Dead. I've never really been a Dead guy, but I appreciate them.
You also probably don't do acid, so
no.
That's probably why you don't enjoy the Dead.
Look, I get the Dead. I had a bunch of like really Deadhead friends in high school, and they managed to get me to a couple shows. I get it, but it's just not really, not my thing.
I'm not that into the Dead either, but like it seems like most of the people that are really into the Dead are like into like the acid trips and stuff, because kind of like Pink Floyd, it's a journey. It's not more so about just the music. It's about the journey that the music takes you on.
Yeah, and Dead shows were this whole, it wasn't just the show. It was, everything that went on before, everything that went on after, and then they had the whole taper section in the back of the orchestra where the entire back third of the orchestra was people with, cassette players, these high-end cassette players with stereo mics. And that I don't know if you know about all this, but like the trading and selling of certain concerts became this huge cottage industry for Dead fans. Be like, oh, I got 76 at Winterland, I'll give you this for that. And it became a huge, huge thing.
Weren't they one of the first bands to implement that?
I don't think the band had anything to do with it. It was the fans.
But they let the fans up on stage to record it, or?
No, they weren't on stage. They were in the back third of the orchestra. That's where all the boom mics were.
Okay. Like bands do that.
They let the fans in with recording devices. So they were probably the first ones to really embrace that.
Because I know Metallica, like if you go see Metallica, you can buy the concert you just saw on their website. Like I know bands are doing that now, but back then's kind of interesting because that's where the bootleg concerts come in.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know what a cassette tape is, it's this little tape that you would put inside of a cassette player and it'd play music. And you couldn't skip tracks. You had to rewind or fast forward and guess. Just fucking.
Yeah.
Is there anyone out there that really doesn't know what a cassette tape is? I find that hard to believe.
I don't know. I mean, if you're like 18, 19, 20, you might not know.
Oh, my kids know what cassette tapes are.
Yeah, that's because you educated them. But some of
I
these
have,
kids
yeah.
don't have parents that's like, hey, hell, kids know what vinyls are now because they're at the store again.
Yeah. Yep. Vinyl made a huge, and CDs
Yeah.
are making a comeback now too.
CDs are making a comeback. I saw that the 8 tracks might start making a comeback.
Damn, that's really archaic.
You can get the new Kenny Dubman album on 8 track.
Next thing you know, there'll be a brontosaurus walking down the street.
Oh, speaking of dinosaurs, did you hear that a scientist discovered recently that dinosaurs actually had more bird DNA than they did lizard DNA? So therefore they had feathers and they more than likely made bird noises.
Well, I know about the whole bird, being more related to birds than reptiles. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
How weird would it be? You see like a friggin' what is that? The what's the name of it? I'm sorry. There's dinosaurs that's in Jurassic Park that's running through that building. The little one.
Little velociraptors.
Yeah. I read somewhere that actually the scaling for that actually isn't a velociraptor. They're much smaller and they look like roosters.
Yeah, except that they had vicious teeth and claws.
Could you imagine chasing you? Now the T-Rex though, they said had feathers and looked like a bird, but it didn't like yell out like in the movie. It had a lower belly growl like a crocodile.
Yeah, probably pretty terrifying.
That is scary because you can hear that from a mile away. You're like, fuck, I'm gonna die soon. I need to run. So are you a big fan of like dinosaurs and shit? Do you enjoy that stuff? Or
I do. I'm a big fan of all natural history and the natural world in general. So
and medicinal medicine and I love talking to you because we have so much in common that we enjoy. So we will have to bring you back.
Cool. I would love that.
Because I love it. But let's talk about your album coming up because that's why you're here. So let's get back on track. Your new album, tell us a little bit about it. Is there a theme on each song? Is each song a different theme of your life? Because your new album, it is called Conflicted. Yes. How did you come about that album name? What's the story behind the album?
It actually was going to be called something different up until the 11th hour. So I don't come up with an album concept and then write songs for it. I just write songs. Okay. And when it comes time to do a new record, I just call the ones that I think that I call my favorite ones out of them. You know what I mean? And that was tough to do with Conflicted because I had so many. I mean, I could have easily done a double album plus with the songs that I had. And that, it's like the songs become like your kids and you really love them and you don't want to leave any out. But, there's only so much time and energy and money to make a record. So you kind of have to cap it at 12 songs. So when I gathered these songs, there was no real theme running through the songwriting because they had all been written. The last track on the record was written like during the recording, and there's probably songs that are 2 years old as well on this record. So I'm picking from a time span of over 2 years of writing. So as far as being any theme, there isn't, but I think they all work together in the fact that, the theme that runs through the whole record is human emotion and how it drives our behavior for better or worse as a species.
That's what I was wondering because I noticed there was somewhat of a theme when I was listening to the album because it was all had to deal with like human emotions and mental health and all of that. So that's what I was kind of wondering.
So that's why I ended up going with the title Conflicted because, so many of us, trying to fit into the modern world is seemingly harder and harder for people because it's a crazy tough place and social media has not helped that in any way. It's made it a lot more difficult. It isolates people. It makes people like look at other people's lives and, think that like, wow, that what they're doing is so great. But those people are just putting a show on social media, making it appear that way. So, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on in this world right now. And if you back away from that, you sort of get your sense of self and well-being back, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you take a song like Cruelest of Them All, it's the concept of that song is that human beings are innately unkind and need to learn to be kind. You know, we're just animals. You know what I mean? A lot of people are of the thought that humans are kind and they learn unkindness, but I think it's the other way around. I think we're basically just animals. You know, we're like pack animals.
And we have to learn kindness.
It's up to our parents to teach us to be kind. So not everyone will agree with that, but that's my thought. So that's a perfect example of, you know, a human behavior issue.
I thought the album title came because you were conflicted about the title of the album. It's a double entendre.
Well, like I said, I did change the name at the last minute, but you know what I mean? It's just the conflict is really getting along as a healthy and happy human being in this world that we've created for ourselves, because the world doesn't seem to, you know, get easier and better. It seems to get more fucked up and more difficult.
Yeah.
And harder to navigate. And if you can step away from all that shit and just shut certain things out, like I've been doing over the past few months, you kind of get your peace of mind back. So I'd recommend that to everyone. I would say step as far away as you can from social media, shut the fucking news off, and go for a hike in the woods every morning.
I'm trying to get to that point because social media is great for like advertising and getting a hold of people. But like, if you're on it all the time, you're seeing how great other people's lives are. And you're like, shit, I ain't doing nothing with my life. When in reality, they're struggling just as much as you are.
It's all a charade. Everyone's putting their best foot forward on social media, and it's everybody's 15 minutes of fame. So they're going to be like, you know, everyone wants to say, look at how great this is. Look at what I did. Look at what I'm up to.
And we're all guilty of that on social media.
Yeah, we totally are. But, you know, for doing what you do and being a musician, you kind of have to be out there. Otherwise, you have no presence whatsoever. Yeah. So for me,
you can't show just the negatives either. So you got to show the positives.
Yeah. So I plug my music and, you know, whatever else on social media. But lately I have been spending next to no time scrolling the feed because it's not healthy.
It's not healthy at all. And like, I have an issue with that I'm trying to work on is I will give everyone my best and reply right away to everyone when they ain't giving me the same respect. And I need to step back and give people the same respect they give me.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, but that comes from, you know, in doing a lot of interaction on social media. And if you're not on social media that much, you don't have to worry about that side of it.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to get to, because it's kind of hard with the podcast. I'm trying to like not ignore people because I want to get as many people,
of course,
as possible. But if they ain't giving me the same respect, you got to step back and prioritize people.
Yeah, you do. And it's about a healthy balance, like I was saying before. And the more you can stay away from news and social media, the better. And I love being outdoors. I love being on the water. I love hiking. I hiked this morning, like for an hour. It's the first thing I did after I dropped my daughter from school. I went up to we have really great trails called Hartshorn Woods here in Middletown, New Jersey. And that starts my day off in a very like Zen state of mind. And then I come home and, you know, start my day in this totally relaxed, awesome mind frame.
I'm actually going to go for a walk after the podcast. I need to try to get in the hang of doing it in the morning, right when I wake up, but I'm getting there.
That's what I go out running as well. Yeah.
Yeah. The natural world is a very healthy place for your mental state. And, you know,
definitely
get out there, get out in the sunshine, and stay off that phone, man.
Natural state. I got your edibles here, by the way.
Right on.
So yeah, like I love everything natural. Like you said, like I won't go to a doctor and get a medication from a doctor because they try to get you addicted to shit. I prefer natural herbal medicine unless it's needed.
Yeah, unless it's needed.
Like unless it's absolute. Because I went to a therapist one time, and all they want to do is load me up with drugs. And I'm like, no.
Well, psychotherapy, because I've been through it myself. I mean, there's two different sides. There's psychiatry, which is basically just listening and prescribing whatever medication you need. Then there's psychology, which is talking. and both sides go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But psychiatrists really
Yeah.
all they do, they talk to you for 5 minutes and they write you a script.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want because drugs never worked for me. Like when they gave me medication, it didn't make me suicidal, but it made me think I was dying of shit I didn't have. Like it made me very paranoid. And I explained that to them and they're like, okay, we'll give you these two meds to counteract one another. I'm like, no, take me off pills, find something else.
Yeah. Well, listen, that the whole discussion of big pharma is a whole other rabbit hole we can go down, and that's portrayed on my album cover, that syringe and that wad of $100 bills. That's what that represents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Big pharma is an issue. And actually I'm glad though, because I'm about ready to talk to a therapist. I'm pretty much going to be a medical marijuana patient. And I'm glad that we're at that stage where like, hey, if it doesn't work for you, we can give you natural medicine. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that we're not at that place anymore where they load you up with like Xanax and shit in hopes that it makes you a zombie enough to function, but not have the problems.
Yeah. Well, you have to find the right doctors too, that believe in holistic treatments.
Mm-hmm. There's more now than there ever has been from what I've seen anyway.
Totally. And that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Because holistic medicine's the best way to go, in my opinion, because all the things to help us is given to us by Earth. Like, why can't we just have the Earth? Why does it have to be illegal?
Well, modern man has created modern man's problems.
True. True. That's 100% true. Kenny Dubman for president.
I'm a deep thinker.
Kenny Dubman for president. Look at this.
Oh, Mike's gone.
Well, it's just you and me now, kid.
Yeah, it is.
I hit back by
back.
accident. I'm back.
There he is.
My mouse has these buttons on them, and I
right.
accidentally hit one.
And you've hit one.
I've hit one. But yeah,
I was going to just carry on then and just some questions.
But do you have any questions, Noami? I don't want to take up all the time with my questions. Do you have anything you want to ask?
Yeah, good Lord, Mike. You haven't shut up for a second.
I know. It's like it's my show or something. What the hell? Let's give Noami the floor. Come on, Noami.
Yeah.
Oh, just thinking of
Go ahead.
Just thinking of some questions.
Okay.
So how often a week do you go hiking? Is it a daily thing?
Probably like 4 or 5 times a week.
Oh, that's great. And how far do you go?
Anywhere from like 2.5 to 5 miles, depending on how much time I have. The hiking is a quick substitute for being out on the water, though. Like, being out on a fishing boat, because that's the real, that's like hiking times 10 for me. But I can't do that every day. It's just time and cost prohibitive. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's the natural world out there in nature. It's just, it's the best medicine for my head.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
The hike I can go do in an hour and then, go to work or whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
How do you balance that in your music?
Just do it, man. Just do it. I try to just, it's hard. I have a day job. I'm a single parent to a teenage girl. I have her full time. Mm-hmm. But it can be done. You just have to be a good scheduler. That's all.
Yeah.
I need to work on that. I'm awful at scheduling. I'm awful.
I'm going to have to do that soon as well. I'm going back to work full time.
There you go. See, I've always been a little bit of like an organizational lunatic, even as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
So it just, when it came to time to scheduling, a day with a lot of things I can get done that I need to do, I can do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, scheduling is hard for anyone though, if that's not something they're used to. You know what I mean? Like, if it's something,
I guess it comes naturally to some people and not to others.
Like anything.
And for the people that are not good at it, my advice is get a piece of paper and a pencil and write down what you have to do. And as you do them, you check them off.
Yeah. I find that works for me.
Yeah. Lists are great. Lists keep you together.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that. It's like a to-do list.
I do it.
So
here's one right here.
Dude, that's beautiful. I need to start doing that. But the thing is I would make to-do lists and then I'd have bad mental health days. So once I get on the medication therapist thing, I'm sure that I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Go
Sure
check
you
out Kenny Dubman's album, by the way, Conflicted. It's available everywhere. When did you say, bud?
It'll be out May 17th. It'll be available everywhere.
Sweet. I'll have to check it out. I'm writing it down right now. Because I have a bunch of, like, I already checked it out, but I want to check it out on Spotify, give you some of them views.
Yeah. Yep.
Because views are everything now. Like, I could listen to it when it's sent to me, but I still got to listen to it on Spotify.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
Do you have like merchandise that people can get for those listening?
Not yet. I mean, and I don't know the point of me doing that until I'm out on the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of have to direct my money where it's, you know, it does the most good. And for now, it's getting the music heard.
Understandable. Like
Yeah.
we're trying to do
everything costs, man. It's like
we're trying to do
It is.
merchandise here, and it's just too much for us without getting paid for the podcast yet. It's too much for us.
I get it. I mean, I could literally spend every dime I had and funnel it into the promotion of this record, and you just can't do it. I got to pay bills too. So
Friend of mine who does tour, he's like, I'm just a touring T-shirt salesman at this point.
yeah, merch is a huge part of that. You know.
Mm-hmm. I heard it's
Yeah.
always has been though. Even when like record companies were big, like it's T-shirts is where you make all your money and merch. Because what?
Ticket sales too. I mean, if you're drawing
Mhm.
enough people.
Yeah, but a lot of your money is going to the production crew, the bandmates, all of that. So yeah, tickets where you get it. Musicians never really made a whole lot of money from the albums themselves. Because my dad was in a band in like the early 2000s, and he's like, we made more money doing shows.
Yeah.
Once you pay everybody else for the album, you're getting like a penny an album almost.
Really, you know, that comes from success. Once you have success and you can renegotiate your contract,
Mm-hmm.
then you can make money off album sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could back when people did buy records.
No, they don't.
No, that's a huge chunk out of the equation, and that's sad. But it is what it is.
Because the equivalent of buying an album now is the views, and it doesn't pay as much as the actual albums used to. But there's that chance of getting you out there, though.
Yeah. Well, the album now. It's just a vehicle to draw people to your shows, which is where you put some money in your pocket, hopefully.
Yep. And like, what do you think of streaming now? Are you for the current height of the music industry, or do you wish things were the way they used to be?
It would be much better for the musicians if it were way it used to be, because they're putting out art and they're not getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's
I
like
agree.
a double-edged sword though, because for some people it's like it's easier to advertise now than it was back
Yeah.
then, and then for others it's you make more money though. It's better. Like it's a double-edged sword, it seems.
I guess, but to me, I don't really see the musician winning in the end when they're making a record and giving it away.
True. Plus you're putting all that
Yeah.
money into going into the studio and everything else.
I know all about it. I just did.
There's a lot of musicians now that are just self-producing albums now, self-recording and everything.
Well, that's what we do. That's what I do.
That's the cheap route to go. That's the best route to go for most musicians now. They can't afford the whole going into the studio shit anymore.
Well, I went into the studio. I mean, I still need to go into a real studio to make a record.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to get a record that sounds like that unless you go into a real studio with real production. I mean, you can make a decent sounding one in your bedroom on a little, digital, format. And I can hear the ones that are made like that. It's just you're never going to get a monster sounding rock album.
True. Because honestly, like you need a professional when it comes to anything.
You need a professional behind the board, and you need a studio. You need somebody that's amassed all that gear over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy I record with has a Neve mixing console from England, and that's no joke.
Damn.
And that makes a huge difference. He's got all the latest plugins, all the best effects, and he's got a set of ears that are just, listen to the record, man. You can hear it. The production, I think, came out really, really bombastically huge on this one. I couldn't be happier with it.
When I was listening to it, I haven't compared it to your other albums, but when I listened to it, I noticed there's really good sound quality, and it's a really good album overall, musically and everything.
Thank you kindly. Put a lot of work into it.
And I hope it pays off for you.
Thank you.
I hope it does as
No
well.
problem. Even if it doesn't, you're more than welcome to come back on the show.
I'll definitely come back on the show.
You can come on my pink sock anytime. That's why I named it that. Would you like a shirt that says "Thank you for coming on my pink sock"?
I would.
Okay, because we're working on them. I'm going to send them out to some people that've been on the show. I don't know when it's going to be, but
I'll wear it proudly.
so go ahead and self-promote yourself because we're reaching the hour point. I know you said hour and 20, so
yeah. So self-promote. The best way to find out what's going on with me is my website, simply kennydubman.com, or Instagram. Instagram, I'm always putting shit up. Anything that the latest is going on with this record will be Instagram, which is simply Kenny Dubman.
And that's your link, kennydubman.com. And
that's the website. And on Instagram, it's just a little @ Kenny Dubman.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook too for anybody that's like 90 or older.
no, for anybody that's living in the early 2000s, he's also on MySpace. Did you have a MySpace?
I didn't. I was one of the latecomers to Facebook. I think it was like, I don't know, probably 2013 or 14 before I even got on Facebook.
What's sad is MySpace now is a networking site for musicians, but it's pretty much nobody's on there anymore.
I had no idea it still existed. That's funny as hell.
Justin Timberlake bought it and he turned it into a networking website for musicians. And then that kind of didn't help reboot it. So he sold it again.
I like Justin Timberlake. He's got a great sense of humor.
You met him?
No, but just from seeing the shit that he does, like
with SNL.
He's a funny guy. And he seems to be like got a good head on his shoulders.
It's my dick in a box. Do you jam to some Lonely Island?
I don't.
You should. Justin Timberlake's in that band.
I'll have to check it out.
They're actually a comedy rap band from SNL.
Really?
Andy Samberg, that's how he got started, was starting that rap band, Lonely Island. And they did songs like Dick in a Box, Three Way. Like Justin Timberlake's not in all the songs, but he's in like 3 or 4 of them.
I remember Dick in a Box.
Yeah, that's Justin Timberlake. Yeah, it's a great band. You should check them out. If you like comedy and you like comedy rap, check them out. And if you like comedy metal, Psycho Stick, ever heard of them?
No, I haven't.
They have a song that goes, "This is not a song, it's a sandwich." And like the whole song, they're trying to tell you that it's not a song because it doesn't make sense.
It's fantastic.
And they also have a song, not recorded, but when you go see them live, they start a mosh pit by throwing a sombrero into the crowd. And whoever's the last person to hold the sombrero, I think gets free backstage passes.
Wow.
So they have like a mosh pit trying to get a hold of this sombrero.
That's nuts. I guess anything goes, man.
Anything goes in the world of rock and roll. That's so. You named all the influences, but were you a Motorhead guy?
Not really. I love Motorhead. I think they're awesome, but it was never like a band whose records I had that I would put on, driving in my car. But mad respect for Lemmy. I mean, what a cool dude, man.
And the fact he survived as long as he did with the lifestyle he had is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That makes me wonder about Ozzy. What the like, how did he do it? Like, how is he still touring? How is he still
out good there? Genetics.
Well, I read somewhere they had a DNA test done of him, and I guess he's more Neanderthal. Like he has Neanderthal DNA in him, which is a rare occurrence.
Is that even possible?
That's legit. Yeah. It's a rare genetic disorder that you have. Like if you're related to a Neanderthal, you'll have it in your DNA, but it's rare to happen nowadays. But yeah, he's part Neanderthal. So is Conan O'Brien.
Wow.
Yeah, they both are Neanderthals, but Conan didn't do the heavy drug abuse. Ozzy did.
Yep.
So Ozzy was able to survive all that shit because of his genes, his DNA. Keith Richards probably wants to do the same thing, but he's like, fuck it, I'm still alive. I don't know. I follow him on Instagram. I don't know if you do or not, but he's phenomenal to follow.
Keith Richards?
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I'm going to start.
He released a video on January 7th Happy New Year. And he's like half naked. He's like, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year, smoking a cigarette. And then on his birthday, he's like, everybody's wishing me happy birthday. I wish you all the same. like,
Oh, brilliant.
like the dude is still like getting fucked up and making Instagram posts at like 70 something years old.
God bless him.
That's
But
excellent.
I'm going to let you go because I know you got stuff to do in the next 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, actually got to take a break before my next call. So yeah, man.
You're good. Go check out Kenny Dubman, though, for all your information on Kenny Dubman. Visit kennydubman.com or on Instagram at Kenny Dubman. He is on Facebook and MySpace, but he's not active.
I'm not on MySpace.
No, you're kicked off of that years ago. No, I'm just kidding. But go check out Kenny Dubman. I just made a new friend. Me and him's going to go hang out sometime soon. Oh,
Right
I'm
on.
just kidding. It was nice
Hey, guys.
talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, buddy.
Thanks for being a guest on the show.
Anytime. We
pleasure.
love having people to talk to.
Yeah.
You guys got to get out more.
Yeah, I know, right? I think we all do. It was nice talking to you, brother, and enjoy nature and
Right
enjoy
on.
life.
Yeah.
And go check out his album coming out in May
May 17th.
May 17th.
I'll see you guys soon.
I'll see you soon. And remember,
Yeah.
everyone, live long,